Before the NFL draft was viewed by millions, before mock drafts and everyone played fantasy football, there was one man. Actually, there were like 3 or 4, but let's just focus on the one. The one who became the face of it all. This is the story of an outsider who turned a boring business meeting into one of the NFL's biggest events, created a billion-dollar industry, and became a punching bag for fans.
I mean, here's a guy that criticizes everybody, whoever they take. Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way?
Mel Kiper Jr. was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1960. As a teenager, he became obsessed with the NFL draft, which was pretty obscure considering it wasn't even televised yet. How could it be? ESPN didn't even exist.
There were no draft previews. It was hard enough to find draft reviews.
Fans had to check their newspaper the next day to see who their team drafted.
It was frustrating because there was just a lack of information out there.
At just 16 years old, Kiper started typing up his own draft notes. He printed his first draft preview in 1978 when he was only 18 years old. He sent it to absolutely everybody. NFL coaches, executives, journalists, agents, along with a letter asking for feedback. And that's just what he got. Receiving letters from coaches like Bill Walsh, Don Shula, and even Kansas City Chiefs owner Lamar Hunt. Kiper started hanging around the Baltimore Colts training camp at Goucher College. He caught the attention of Ernie Accorsi, who at the time was an assistant GM with the Colts. Accorsi told him his information was too valuable to give away. He encouraged him to sell it to the general public. Kiper took his advice. Along with his father, Mel Kiper Sr., he started Mel Kiper Enterprises Incorporated and began selling his draft report to anybody who wanted it. He set up an office in his parents' basement. Mel was committed. He was an absolute grinder.
This is an era where, keep in mind, when I had to get basic fundamental stats, I had to call all those schools. I had to pick up a landline phone, call 150 schools.
Mel was working 18 to 20-hour days on a regular basis. He promoted his book on the radio, sometimes calling into as many as 20 radio shows a day. He hustled from morning to night, calling all over the country, anyone and everyone who would have him, giving live draft analysis, and giving a phone number to order his draft report. He was viewed as a draft expert. Nobody knew he was only 19 years old at the time. Nobody asked. It was all done over the phone. They just assumed he was 40. Mel would call 10 coaches a day if he had to learn everything he could about a player. He would drive between multiple games in a day to evaluate players. But he was only able to evaluate players in his region or nationally televised games. He needed to extend his reach. So he got his parents to install a satellite dish on the roof. Now he could get college feeds from all over the country. Not that it took much convincing. While Mel Jr. had the analytics and drive, he lacked the business knowledge. That's where Mel Sr. came in. Kiper was building a family business, one that would come to include his parents, his sister, and even his future wife. He was also building relationships with people around the league and college football ranks. Before long, Mel had people sending him tapes.
Kiper's draft book came in 2 flavors. The white one, which was the draft preview, an advanced copy that went out to NFL scouts, analysts, journalists, and early subscribers. And then there was the more common draft report, sometimes referred to as the blue book.
Kiper rated every position. He ranked the top 150 prospects. He rated every team's previous draft, gave a detailed analysis of their current strengths and weakness by position, as well as their major priorities going into the draft. The report also included a 6-round mock draft. He even listed the top upcoming prospects to watch for the next 2 years' drafts. Over 100 hand-typed pages. This was the detailed work of a madman, all done without the internet or even a computer. In his first year, Kiper sold just 130 copies of his draft report. By the second year, it was up to 500, and it could have ended there, because in 1983, Ernie Accorsi, now the GM of the Baltimore Colts, offered Mel Kiper Jr. a role as an assistant in the personnel department. It was a dream job for a 22-year-old to work for his local team, but that dream was shattered. The rumors of team owner Robert Irsay moving the Colts out of Baltimore were growing louder and eventually proved true. Accorsi gave Kiper another piece of advice. You've got a good thing going here. Stick with it. Also, the Colts were a huge shit show thanks to Bob Irsay.
Skadoosh!
It was a pivotal moment because just 6 months later, a new opportunity would arise. ESPN went on the air in 1979. A year later, the NFL Draft was televised for the very first time. And it was boring as shit.
Robin Sendline, linebacker, Texas. Spelling will be on the screen. Robin Sendline, linebacker, Texas.
I mean, it was basically a meeting about a list. Would you watch Microsoft Excel on TV? Not even a drunk Clippy could spice that up.
I'm okay to drive. Give me the keys.
But to everyone's surprise, it was popular. So it stuck around. In 1984, legendary college coach Bud Wilkinson decided to retire, leaving a hole in ESPN's draft analysis. As it just so happened, agent Greg Marotta, a friend of Kiper's, was having lunch with legendary ESPN executive and producer of the NFL Draft, Bill Fitz. Fitz mentioned he was looking for someone with knowledge about college football players and NFL teams. As it turned out, he knew just the guy. Kiper was invited to Bristol, Connecticut, cause that's where ESPN is. He sat in a room with 5 execs who grilled him about college football and the NFL for over an hour. They were impressed with his encyclopedic knowledge and lightning-fast recall. A couple of weeks later, he was hired. At just 23 years old, Mel Kiper Jr. made his on-air debut alongside Chris Berman, which at the time was just the first round of the NFL Draft before ESPN switched to a tractor pull. Mel Kiper Jr. wasn't the first or only person to do player analysis and mock drafts. There was already Pete and Carl Marasco. The Marasco brothers convinced Pro Football Weekly to publish their college prospect rankings and player reports back in 1969. There was also Palmer Hughes, Sports Illustrated's Paul Zimmerman, or Dr. Z, and Joel Bushbaum. Bushbaum was so renowned that Bill Belichick tried to hire him multiple times to be his scouting consultant. All of these people had a hand in creating draft culture and the term draftnik. Mel was one of many, but he was the one that turned it into a business, and he was the one to become the face of it, with a face that looked like a car salesman who deals exclusively in hearses. Mel's first draft was pretty subdued compared to today.
He's a great prospect. I was very shocked that he lasted this long. I think he's got to be considered, along with Boomer Esiason, one of the steals of this draft.
But he earned praise after he correctly predicted that the Buffalo Bills would trade with the Dolphins and take running back Greg Bell. It was also impressive that he didn't need notes. He just remembered every player.
Kiper became a draft regular over the next decade, and as ESPN expanded, so did their coverage.
The 46th annual National Football League selection meeting is now in session.
The draft was gaining in popularity, and so was Mel, which inevitably led to him becoming a target for any newspaper or magazine that was critical of the NFL Draft. He became the go-to punching bag, and to the NFL, he was still an outsider. There was a growing resentment toward him. Things came to a head in 1994. Kiper wasn't shy about his opinion of the Colts. If they didn't come out of this draft with a quarterback, it was a failure. The Colts only had one quarterback on their roster at the time, a 30-year-old Jim Harbaugh, who was new to the team. The Colts seemingly had their pick in the draft with both the 2nd overall pick and eventually the 5th after trading back up. But they passed on both of the top quarterback prospects at the time. Trent Dilfer was staring them right in the face, and instead, they drafted running back Marshall Faulk and linebacker Trev Alberts. And Mel ripped them.
Here's a team that needed a franchise quarterback when all you have is Jim Harbaugh. Give me a break. That's why the Colts are picking 2nd every year in the draft, not battling for the Super Bowl like other clubs in the National Football League.
Maybe it was leftover resentment for Bob Irsay for moving the team. It was brash, it was bold, and it was heard by Colts GM Bill Tobin, who fired back.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way? I mean, here's a guy that criticizes everybody, whoever they take. He's got the answers to who you should take and who you shouldn't take. He's never ever put on a jockstrap. He's never been a coach. He's never been a scout. He's never been an administrator. And all of a sudden, he's an expert. We don't have to take anybody that Mel Kiper says we have to take.
Suddenly, the draft was reality TV, and fans loved it. NFL GMs loved it too, breaking out the high fives and ass slaps.
He said what the entire league thought.
I know I and probably 27 other general managers congratulated him.
But if they were looking to demean or diminish him, the exact opposite happened.
Mel wasn't some sycophant begging for a pat on the head.
I wasn't there to show for the NFL. I was there to give an opinion, and I've always done that.
He held a powerful NFL executive's feet to the fire on live TV and showed he wasn't afraid to criticize multi-million-dollar decisions.
That's why the Colts are the laughingstock of the league year in and year out.
Kiper's popularity skyrocketed. His distinctive look and rapid-fire delivery led to parody.
For my money, if I had to spill coffee in my lap, I'm taking iced coffee over hot one that could leave you potentially scarred for life. Cold coffee, flying under the radar, no lap injuries, safe bet. You'd be hard-pressed to tell me otherwise.
He's also a delightful weirdo. He doesn't own a cell phone. He has multiple landlines. If you need to text him, you have to text his wife. He eats pumpkin pie for breakfast every day and as a snack at night. Every single day. He goes through 2 to 3 pies and 12 cans of whipped cream a week. He takes the cheese off his pizza and dips it into mashed potatoes. Why are mashed potatoes in the same room as pizza? Those are different meals. No one helps their friend move and gets paid in pizza and a Thanksgiving meal. Over the years, Kiper has even been dragged for his evaluations. He compared Jamarcus Russell to John Elway, preferred Blaine Gabbert over Cam Newton, and famously said, "If Jimmy Clausen is not a successful QB in the NFL, I'm done, that's it, I'm out." There's certainly more, but when you scout 300 to 400 players every year for 42 years, you're guaranteed to get some wrong. Plus, he's merely analyzing a player's ability, not predicting David Carr taking an NFL record number of sacks in his rookie season, or Johnny Manziel being more interested in MDMA than his playbook. Kiper has been right about a lot of players over the years. Josh Allen, Tim Tebow, Frank Gore, or in '96 when he slammed the Rams for taking running back Lawrence Phillips instead of Eddie George or Marvin Harrison. You can cherry pick in either direction.
There's going to be misses, there's going to be a lot of good hits, there's going to be some misses, but that was the same as the pro teams.
In 2001, Baltimore had a football team again, this time as the Ravens. Kiper saw his hometown team win the Super Bowl with the very quarterback he told the Colts to draft, Trent Dilfer, who has widely been regarded as the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. But if you whisper the first part of that sentence, it's pretty impressive. Kiper's mere presence draws endless criticism and vitriol from fans online, which is kind of funny because he does not see it. You think a 66-year-old man with 2 tons of Ready Whip coursing through his veins is reading your comments? But he does love to talk to fans in the real world.
Fans have opinions. They have great opinions. I respect fans' opinions.
If you think you can do better than Mel, that's kind of the point. He's just a fan who put in the work. Mel opened the door for year-round NFL content and an entire new generation of full-time analysts. Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah, Field Yates, and every podcaster and YouTuber making mock drafts live in a house that Mel Kiper Jr. built and paid for. In 2014, after 35 years, Kiper finally discontinued printing his blue draft reports as everything went online at ESPN.com. Mel was somehow a self-made man and received crucial support and a lucky break on his way to building an empire. His legacy isn't just books, predictions, or even ESPN. It's best summed up in the advice he gives to others. Find something you're passionate about, pay your dues, build relationships.
One of my favorite humans alive, Mel Kiper Jr.
He is a unique, quirky, but unbelievably kind man.
He's one of the nicest, caring, supportive people I've ever met.
Mel Kiper Jr. has been talking about the NFL draft on ESPN for over 42 years. There is nothing he loves more. Except maybe pumpkin pie.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.